All right, at 197, Sam Mitchell for Buffalo, Austin Starr for Ohio. Back with Colt Yinger, I'm Sam Hyman. Thanks for being with us here on ESPN Plus tonight, the regular season finale before Buffalo. All right, at 197, Sam Mitchell for Buffalo, Austin Starr for Ohio. Back with Colt Yinger, I'm Sam Hyman. Thanks for being with us here on ESPN Plus tonight, the regular season finale before the MACtion begins. Tourney time, March 8th and 9th in Kent, Ohio. It's going to be intense. And 2 weeks after that, the national tournament in Kansas City. Buckle up. It's going to be a fun stretch of wrestling. But right now, we finish up the night with our final two matchups. Sam Mitchell, redshirt senior from Marshfield, Wisconsin, a record of 14-4, and Austin Starr with a record of 15-8. 16-8 coming into tonight.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty stylistically similar matchup here, both athletes. I think both guys are probably, I think Mitchell definitely best on top. I think Starr also, we've seen had a lot of success on top. So the mat wrestling here could get interesting at 197, as well as I think you got two guys that staturally match up well together. If that is a word, staturally. I don't know.
You create words in the dictionary, and it works.
We are tonight, at least.
We're going with it. We're going with it. Sam Mitchell, by the way, according to John Stutzman, is the leader of our team. He finished third at the MAC championships last season. He's 14-4 this season, and is going up against a guy in Austin Starr. Joel Greenlee said Austin has made more improvements over the last couple of weeks than a lot of our guys. His approach and mental attitude is here is Starr being aggressive.
Does a nice job of getting to the body of Mitchell. That's going to have to be a stall call. Yep, and that's what you'll see is the call there is if you back out and you don't attempt to wrestle back in, they're going to hit you for stalling. So nice job on Starr's part to get to the body and really threaten Mitchell with some of that big move potential there.
Is that a situation where Mitchell wants to have the stall happen?
Yeah, he definitely knew that it was going to be a possibility, and he obviously hurried to the line for a reason. And it's kind of, as we saw at maybe 57, where he got the right out for the stall call. Or 65, excuse me. He hung on the ankle. Yeah, it's one where you go, okay, I can give one up. I'll give it up here. Obviously, you don't want to in the first period that early, but maybe definitely didn't like where he was at there belly to belly with Starr.
Some hand fighting right here.
As you were mentioning kind of what Stutzman has said about Mitchell and things, one thing I know a lot about Mitchell is he wrestles a lot of senior level freestyle events and things. Coach Stutzman will take anybody, I'm sure, on the staff that wants to go and compete at Vegas and all these big freestyle events that happen in the off season. Coach Greenlee, I'm sure, would do the same, right? But maybe a more want out of some of the Buffalo guys to wrestle that international style of wrestling. And I think that it's also allowed Mitchell to kind of have that transition in. Yes, you have your off season, but you're also still getting better, and you're still giving yourself something to look at and compete and train for. That's the important part, is having something in front of you that you're training for, I think. And he's had a lot of success too, maybe even more so on that scene than he has the NCAA scene.
Mitchell is 29th in the NCAA coaches poll. He's the only bull ranked in the coaches poll coming into this week. As we get set to start the second period, Austin Starr on top. And now is airborne slightly. And there's a nice escape for Sam Mitchell, as the two are locked up right now at the epicenter.
Definitely been a lot of what, we've seen all night, right? Two guys that are just kind of hand fighting, feeling each other out. But that's where Buffalo's style of wrestling, top to bottom, isn't very different, right? You don't have to know a lot of moves. You need to be really good at a few moves.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of leg grabs.
And that's a nice
from
takedown
Buffalo.
there.
Yep,
yeah,
3-point takedown.
And that's kind of just thinking about it from a higher standpoint, right, of, Sam, it's a little bit easier for me to grab your leg without even having to drop to my knee, right? And think about how much quicker it is, how much more time efficient it is. And, okay, I don't really risk much by just kind of reaching out there. And if I do on the off chance grab that leg, now I can finish that maybe. And I think that's what a lot of what Sal was doing with Nivison was kind of just reaching, and you check how much a guy's moving, right? If a guy's really flinchy and reacting a lot to your little fakes, that's a good sign that he's really uncomfortable, right? So,
and that's something that you sort of try to feel out early in the match, like in the first period. You're trying to become aware. Okay, is this guy flinching at some of my attacks?
Absolutely. And I think that's why you saw Sal with a lot of his snap fake. You know, they weren't super committed attacks, but you start to see where, oh, he reacted really heavy to that. And you do it long enough that you know what that reaction creates next. And then that's where you start kind of planning what comes next, and you really start chain wrestling.
Final seconds here of the second period. Riding time favors Sam Mitchell by more than 60 seconds. As we enter the phase of preparation for the MAC tournament, between, I guess, when this match ends, we'll have 2 weeks before the MAC tournament. What does that 2-week gap look like in terms of trying to get yourself prepared for the MAC tournament?
Yeah, most teams are going to have the next 2 weeks off, and I think a lot of the same thing's going to happen for everybody. Next weekend is not going to be an off weekend, right? Because you have next weekend is the only full weekend they have. So they'll have a, what would you call, like a simulation. They will make weight. Coach Greenlee will make every guy on the team be 2 to 3 pounds overweight, depending. And you will actually have a simulated MAC tournament. We will wrestle on Friday at the same time they do it on Fridays. We will go back to the dorms, we'll shower, whatever, and then you come back and wrestle again later on. So a lot of teams will try to simulate that tournament feeling and really try to make this as real as possible for guys. The training's done, the beating up your body's done. Now it's the visualization and the, hey, now it's here. It's real. Now you can feel it. Let's get our energy channeled in a way that, you know, our guys aren't maybe stressing, but they're focused, they're confident, they're relaxed, and they know what they need to do. And that's why I mentioned earlier, right? Hopefully it's a relaxing, lackadaisical kind of 2 weeks, and these guys' weight is under control, so they're not having these extra workouts at night.
Right.
They don't have to go to the ping center at 8 o'clock at night and go hit the treadmill for an hour because they need to lose 5 pounds. That stuff's over and done with now. Now it's, hey, how do I keep myself relaxed, healthy, and ready to go?
Yeah, it's certainly a very strategic and specific plan. You mentioned running to the treadmill for an hour, like something you want to avoid.
Yeah, and you know, I was a big runner. One, because I enjoyed eating a lot, and I always felt better when I ate more. I could work out an extra time, and I would rather work out an extra hour than not eat dinner. But at this time of the year, that's where you go, okay, my body doesn't need the extra toll. It doesn't need the extra mileage on it. You do that all year long, though, so that way you're conditioning everything else, right? And then when you don't have to do it now, you're starting to feel at your best. Peaking is a very, very unique aspect in all sports, and there's definitely a science to it, and I think that's something that is fun to get to watch now, kind of in my shoes, is you kind of see how different coaches maybe go about tapering off and then picking things back up for guys.
Here's Austin Starr trying to make something happen in the final seconds.
Mitchell going to do a nice job just getting the right out there. As I mentioned earlier, he was going to be tough on top, and he puts a really nice third period ride together. Gets the riding time point and the 5-1 decision. A
win by decision, yes, indeed, for Sam Mitchell. As Buffalo trying to hand Ohio its first loss at home this season in the driver's